Hi everybody, it's Tim with Engadget and welcome to the T-Mobile Galaxy S2 from Samsung. Now we have of course seen this device many times on many carriers. This is the final of the 3 US releases that we're going to get, and this is interestingly the quickest of the 3 as well. This phone is running a 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, dual core of course, which is a bit of a step up in terms of numbers at least from the 1.2 GHz Samsung chip that the other devices have been running. But in terms of actual day-to-day performance, we haven't really found that this device is that much quicker than the others, though when it comes to web browsing, it certainly is, and we'll show you that in just a moment. Let's take a quick tour around the device. Up front, of course, 4.52-inch Super AMOLED Plus display. This is the same as on the Sprint version of this device, 0.3 inches larger than the other 4.2-inch versions, and overall we think that this is still an amazing display. It is WVGA, of course, which is a bit of a step down from some of the QHD displays and indeed some of the 720p displays we have on the not too distant horizon. But overall, we think we would give up some of the resolution in exchange for the bright contrast and colors that you have here, though we are, of course, very eager to see what Samsung will do with this in the future, perhaps with a 720p version of this same technology. Let's take a quick walk around. Upper left is the volume rocker. On the top, 3.5mm headphone jack, power lock toggle on the upper right, and on the bottom is the micro USB along with the microphone. Flip it around the back and we've got an 8-megapixel sensor with an LED flash. This is the same camera array that we've seen on other Galaxy S2 devices and has performed very well on those, and indeed it performs very well on this device as well. The pictures look great, and overall they are very, very good looking, certainly for a camera phone. Perhaps the only slight issue is occasional problems when you have some pictures with dramatic contrast, very bright lights or very dark darks. Things can look a little bit washed out, but other than that, this is certainly one of the best camera markups. But other than that, it's certainly one of the best camera setups on a phone that we have yet seen. Let's peel the back off here. This whole rubberized back comes off, which is a little bit different than some of the others that we've seen. And of course, it's not particularly easy to remove. Here we have an 1850 mAh battery, the biggest of the 3 Galaxy S2s coming to the US. Though not necessarily the best battery life. In fact, we found this to be slightly worse battery life than the other 2, perhaps thanks to that new processor, or perhaps thanks to T-Mobile internals. We're not really sure. A SIM card here, and an empty micro SD slot if you would like to expand upon the 16 gigs of storage that is built in here. About 12 gigabytes worth will be available to you for music or movies or what have you. Now this device does have the TouchWiz customizations, of course, as you would expect, given this is a Samsung device. For example, here in the applications, you can get an alphabetical grid. You can switch to an alphabetical list of applications if you would prefer, which looks much like a contacts list. Or you can go into this customizable grid, which will allow you to create folders and hide some of the junkware that T-Mobile has thoughtfully included for you, like 411 and More, a service that will cost you about $3 a month to get caller ID, some VIP bonus apps, a couple of games, and some other services that you may or may not want. If you can basically just go through, grab all the magenta icons, throw them in a folder, and forget about them going forward, except maybe Quick, which we certainly like. Let's give a quick tour of the web browsing performance, which we found to be very, very good. Let's bring up the Engadget page. We did, of course, clear the cache. And as you can see, it pops up very quickly. Images, bang, there we go. Just a little bit more content to load, but even while it's loading here, very, very smooth pinched zoom. If we go into a different page, again, very, very quick rendering, very, very smooth interaction with the page, and this echoes the JavaScript, the SunSpider results that we saw as being the highest performing phone that we've yet seen. And certainly if you are looking for a device that does great with web browsing, this is certainly it. But other than that, really didn't find a lot of differences between this and the other Galaxy S2 models that we have tested previously. So if you are on T-Mobile already looking for a new phone, we think this is an absolutely fantastic choice. But whether or not it's worth jumping to T-Mobile just for this particular version of the Galaxy S2, well, not so sure about that. The AT&T and the Sprint versions are both also very good and certainly not far behind, and in some areas are even ahead, like battery life and gaming performance. So again, this is the T-Mobile Galaxy S2 from Samsung.